This keyboard cost me 16 glorious freedom dollars, or 21 Canadian rupees, and at the time of making this is the cheapest gaming keyboard on Amazon.com that also has red, green, and blue LED backlights. But the question is it an RG buy or just RG bad? For $16, my expectations were quite low for the NPET K70, so when I opened up the box for the first time, I wasn't surprised that the only things inside were the keyboard itself and some nice glossy kindling. After taking the keyboard out of its box, I went and tested it on both my Windows desktop as well as my MacBook Pro, and was pleasantly surprised by the product being completely plug and play, working perfectly with both devices. The only two adjustments that the keyboard allows for are turning the backlight on and off via a small switch on the back that took me way too long to find, as well as opening up the feet on the bottom of the keyboard to prop it up to a nice ergonomic angle. As far as the build quality goes, the keyboard is all plastic with quite a bit of flex, especially when the feet are up. However, using the keyboard normally for gaming and typing left me with a it's fine feeling. The cable is pretty crap and not even close to being braided like it says on the product page, instead being plastic and feeling just bad. Leaving my only other gripe on this keyboard to be the backlight spill through the side plastic where the keyboard just wasn't painted well enough. A clear sign of how much this keyboard cost. Speaking of the backlights, when compared to a Corsair K65, they're quite dim. However, for everyday use, I only found it to be an issue with the pinky purple bits in the top and middle of the keyboard, where the backlight becomes so dim the keyboard barely seems on. However, throughout daily use, I started to suspect that there weren't quite as many LEDs as I'd first assumed. After unscrewing 17 screws to get the back off, my suspicions were not only confirmed, but even worse than I thought. Taking the keyboard apart reveals that there are only 10 LEDs along the bottom of the keyboard which shine through a plastic sheet to line up each key individually. But none of that really matters if the keyboard is bad to type on. And well, when compared to a keyboard with Cherry MX Blues or Browns, there's no question they are far superior. But those keyboards are also more than 12 times more expensive. So, keeping in mind the somewhat strange semi-European layout and the fact that the keyboard is a membrane keyboard, it really isn't that bad. The keys themselves sadly aren't double shot, but they have almost no wobble, making them in some ways better than much more expensive membrane keyboards. And as far as long-term use, I've been using this keyboard as my main keyboard for my gaming desktop for the past 2 months, and I have to say that the keyboard was not a hindrance. So, in conclusion, should you buy this keyboard? Well, since writing this, NPET have discontinued this keyboard in the USA, leaving only the cheaper K10 and the slightly more expensive K110. These keyboards both seem to alleviate the backlight spill by simply removing the sides completely, also adding a lot more customization via specific key combinations on the keyboard itself, and having multiple LED color layouts. The K10 in particular for $15 seems like a pretty good deal, gaining you a metal backplate and hopefully an actually braided cable, getting rid of the adjustable ergonomic feet for a non-adjustable plastic piece. Overall, in my opinion, making it a worthy buy. So, whether you plan on replacing this keyboard in just a few months, or just want a keyboard as a backup in case your main one dies, for such a low price, whether you get this keyboard or one of its replacements, I honestly don't think you can go wrong.